product, you have to think of the features that both of these people's life would have differentiations in. So how they are living, or how they are maybe like how they're going to this place. So the way of transport will also matter. So if you're walking to work, you cannot carry too much weight on you. But if you're talking about you're carrying it in a car, then obviously the weight doesn't matter. Certain other factors have to be taken in mind when you have to make a product. So think about the usability. How much does this customer interact with this product? So what kind of features will help them? For a makeup artist, if you're designing a bag, then you'll have more sections than if you're designing it for someone like a simple student who is going to maybe an engineering college. So they don't have a lot of other things except maybe the books. But when you're making it for an architecture student or an art student, you'll think of spaces you can provide them for putting their art supplies. So you'll think of sections. You'll think of maybe for an art student or for a fashion student, you would have inspirations which will draw from their careers. So you'll probably think of a design inspiration in those manners. Or when you're thinking of making it for an architecture student, then you can think of maybe taking inspiration from different geometrical shapes or things that resemble the work or the kind of things they take inspiration from. So being creative here is the main thing that you need to do in the situation test, so that they're able to see that you have it in you to go ahead and be a designer. Yeah, so other than this, now we'll just start with the first session, which is basic paper folding. So for this particular exercise, you don't need a lot of material. All you need is either A4 size sheets if you prefer, or you can use A3 size sheets also. If you have a thicker sheet like an ivory sheet or a cartridge paper, then that will be great. But other than that, even if you're using the normal paper that you have for printing purposes, that should also work. But if you have a thicker paper available, please keep that handy. We're going to use the thicker paper if possible. All you need is simple sheets of paper. You can use colored paper if you like color. You can use white paper if you have that. Then other than that, some supplies that you need are, you'll have a cutter, scissors, Fevicol, a cutting board if you are cutting it on the table, and a scale. Prefer a metal scale. Just collect your items and please turn on your cameras. Mukesh, please remove anybody who's not turning on their cameras in the next 2-3 minutes. Okay, everybody should be working on their models. And that's the point of the class. The very first thing that I want you to understand when it comes to paper folding forms is what is that we are trying to achieve with this is that when you're looking at any object that you see around you, you must have done some drawing classes earlier, right? In that you must have learned about basic shapes and the basic form. So from a shape to form, when you're having that transformation, the things go from 2D to 3D. And this transformation is to be understood by the understanding of how the faces change. So now when you're looking at this 2D shape, which is a square. So if you have to get inspired from a square and then you have to make a 3D form, then that would be a cube. Same way when you're thinking of bases for these different shapes. Now if you have a square base and you have a triangular side, then you have this particular shape, which is a pyramid. But if you had the base as a triangle also, and you had the faces as triangles also, then you will have 4 faces in total instead of 5 faces in total, which is at this point. So you will have a tetrahedron. So according to the bases of the shapes, these shapes are categorized. Then you're looking at a trapezoid. So basically from a trapezium, when you're making it in the 3D form, this is what happens. So all of these shapes can be easily understood by the templating method, and none of them are difficult if you try, like if you're understanding just the 2 shapes that I'm going to explain to today, you can make template for anything that you want by using the same techniques, but a little bit of tweaking. So
Excuse me.
yeah.
Is this session also for GDPI or only for situation test?
Next one is the GDPI. Yes.
So from what time will that start? Sorry? 7.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Okay. So these are some of the very simple maps that I'm making you look at. So when you're looking at the right pyramid, this is one easy shape that you can approach where you're looking at a square base and triangular sides. Same way when you're looking at hexagonal prisms or triangular prisms, the concept remains the same. So look at this particular shape, for example, triangular prism. You're looking at the base being a triangle, then you're looking at a rectangular shape. Next up, when you're looking at this particular shape, this is just the change of one face. Other than that, the second shape remains same. The second shape is rectangle only. So you're only changing it, or like you're only adjusting it to fit all the sides of that particular shape. So making templates, let's start with the very first shape, which is square. So from square, we'll be able to make which kind of a form?
Cube.
So first up, all I want you to do is think of a dimension that you want your cube to be in. Let's take maybe 5 centimeter. And then make a square of 5 centimeter side onto the sheet. So this is the sheet, just make a 5 centimeter square. Make sure it's right angled. This is what you should have by now. Now I want you to logically think about this shape. What we've made is just one face of the cube. So if this is the cube that I'm considering, so what I've just made, I can assume is the base. So let's assume this is what I've made right now. So if you have difficulty imagining a cube, think of it as a room. So the room has a floor. We've set up the floor right now. Now look at the floor. What is it attached to? One side it's attached here. One side it's attached in front. One side it's attached on the other side, as well as once in the back. So 4 times it is attaching itself to make it stand. So there are 4 walls that you require to make. So we'll make 4 walls, as in 4 more squares, which will be extending here. Because you're making a 2D shape 3D. So when you cut it, then you'll be able to make this particular shape. So just make 4 more squares, all of them from this side. This is what you should have now. Done till here? Mukesh, some of them still don't have their video on. Please disconnect it for them. I don't think they're
Hello
interested.
students, this is the last warning. So please switch on your video if you want to stay in class.
Guys, there'll be no learning if you're not working on it with us. Please work on your models as well. Next up, what you're required to do is, so we have made 5 faces of this object right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the only thing that is remaining is this top part of this box. So if I don't make it, then I'll be able to make a cube with an open top. So we are not going to make an open top cube. So all I want you to do is on either side of your cube, make this attachment. So because this is attached to all of these 4 sides, so you can attach it on any one side. So make another cube. I'll make another cube right under because I have more space here. You can choose to make it wherever you have space.
ठीक है नहीं वो एक क्लास में दो तीन बोले बहुत पहले मिल चुका अब एग्जामिनेशन का टाइम आ गया है अब इतना सोचने वोचने का टाइम नहीं है 20 डेज में आप 3 दिन क्लास फ्री मिल जाए 2 दिन क्लास
Okay. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to start making flaps. So think about this particular product. If I make it right now, what shape will I get? I'll get this particular shape. So this is exactly what we've done. We made this. When we cut this, then this is going to be without flaps. So without flaps, I'll need to put tape in. So I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start making flaps. To understand flaps, just understand where will you require to close the shape. So imagine if this was my base, the base doesn't require any flaps because it's already connected to the 4 sides. But the 4 sides aren't connected to anything. So obviously I will need a flap here. I'll need a flap here. I'll need a flap here. I'll need a flap here, as well as on both of these sides I'll make a flap. So this is where it needs to be closed. Then come to the top section of this. Now, when I'm looking at the top section, because it is connected to one wall over here, so it just needs to be closed on any of these walls because all of these walls are going to be connected together already. So I just need one flap on either side of the top. So either I can put that flap here or I can put that flap here. So it doesn't matter, either one side. So total, you'll have 7 flaps. Let me just show you the markings for them. So these are the markings that you have for these flaps. Total of 7 flaps are there. Can you see that? Just logically thinking, it is where this particular shape, when I'm making it into a 3D form, needs to be closed. When you're making the flap, the questions that you might have is how big this particular flap has to be, or how thick this flap has to be. Also, why do I have these corners cut out in the flap? So the reason you have these corners cut out in the flap is so that when you're making that shape, it doesn't disturb the corners of that particular area. So when you're making it 3D, it would be extra if you're making it extend. So do make sure you have notches there. You just need these to connect them inside the shape so that the shape looks clear. Okay, so this is how you make a flap. Please make sure you have clear notches. Depending on whether your model is big or small, you will decide the thickness of these flaps. Finally, you should be able to have these flaps onto the product. Whenever you're done, just show it on your screen, and then we'll proceed to the next step, which is cutting the skew. Now we'll start cutting the shape. We're done. Okay, so let's quickly start. Any difficulty you're facing? Right. Hello. Done. I can see you're almost done folding your paper models.
Srushti,
Huh?
Srushti, are you there?
Don't think so.
Srushti, I'm audible to you. Srushti.
Shruti, you're done?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you there in yesterday's session also, Shruti?
Yes, ma'am. I was.
Ah, okay. So this time it took you faster, no? It was faster, much faster.
वो कल मैंने प्रैक्टिस भी किया था आपने जो
हाँ.
बताया था ना.
You couldn't make the shapes, I remember. No problem. Okay, Shruti, then you try and show me. Next thing we're going to do is tetrahedron, no? So you make a template for tetrahedron and show me. While we'll all make the normal tetrahedron, you try making the truncated one. This one I discussed. You remember? Oh, you've done this. Amazing.
Yes, ma'am. आपने कल दिया था ना ये cuboid and this तो मैंने बनाया था
You
कल.
finished it. Great. Nice. Nicely it's come out. Good. So then you've not done the tetrahedron yet, no? So then we'll do the tetrahedron.
Okay.
Done, Zubair? Looks nice.
हाँ मैम बना लिया.
Good. So mine is also just finished. Need to just paste this last in. Good. So this is how the particular shape of the cube should be. This is still getting pasted, but yeah. It should come out pretty much perfect if you made it correctly. It shouldn't have like any edges or anything coming out. Okay. Now let's go to the tetrahedron exercise. So making a template for a pyramid or a tetrahedron is very similar. The only difference between both of the shapes is, so let's do 3 maps and we'll try to make one shape right now, and the 2 other maps you can try on your own. This is number 1 shape that you're looking at. Let me just stop sharing so that you can see it even bigger. Yeah. Can you see this? So when you're combining both of these shapes, you have this particular shape. But when you think of this triangular shape individually, when you combine only triangle with triangle, when you combine triangle with triangle, this is the kind of shape you have. So the base also will be triangular and not rectangular. So one base is triangular, other sides are rectangular. So next up that you're looking at is this particular shape. Wherein you're combining these two. Now, when you're combining these two shapes, what is the resultant effect? You have a pyramid. So now this is the resultant shape that you're looking at when you're combining these. So with the triangle only, we've seen how with just triangle and rectangles or squares, you can have 3 different kinds of shapes coming in. Now, when you think of templates of these are very, very simple. You have to always think about how many sides this object has. So this particular object has how many sides? Can you count them?
5.
5 sides. So the template for this should be something like so this becomes the template for this. What you're doing over here is taking one triangle as the base. So this is my base. Then thinking of how this base is connected to the other side. So side number 1, side number 2, side number 3. So this side of the triangle is equal to this side of the rectangle. So I'm going to connect that over here. And then I'm going to think about how I'm going to close these. So I can attach this triangle of the same size that this triangle is to any of these sides. Does this make sense? Simple enough? Now let's look at the second template of this one. So this is much more simpler. When you're looking at this, all you need to do to make a template for this tetrahedron is you'll have a shape with 4 triangles in it. So when I'm making a template for this, all I need to do is think of this one triangle, which is going to be the base. Now the base that I've made over here is going to be connected to multiple other triangles. So if I were to take this as the base, then I should have made it this way. Okay, let's approach it this way only then. Then this is my base. Now I'm going to think of the top part of the triangle. Now I'm going to just have 3 more sides coming onto it. So one on this side, then one on this side, and one more on this side. So if this was my base that I'm considering, this lower area in the triangle that you see, then I've made this here. First, this one is the base. Then I've made one triangle which is connected over here, one triangle which is connected over here, and one triangle which is connected over here. So this is my triangle which is connected over here, number 2. Now I have to make this triangle and this triangle. So I'll just go on and make it over here. So this becomes the tetrahedron template that I have developed. So very, very simple if you think about it. Just thinking logically where this object, when we're placing a 3D object, then how it is connected to the sides. And that's how templating is done for anything. So we'll do the flaps more clearly for the shape. We'll do the shape in more detail right now. But let's discuss the template for the last shape before we do that. So for this one, the only variation that could happen is according to the base. So if you have a rectangular base, it would be different. If you have a triangular base, it would be different. But you have to constantly think about how will these triangles meet in the end. So the distance of these triangles should be equal from all the sides. So here, the triangle you'll be making should meet this triangle that you're making here in the center. Same applies to these two. So in case of a square one, when you have a square base, you have all equal sides of, so you have triangles on all 4 sides. So this is the kind of template you'll be coming up with. You can make flaps on both of these sides, or you can choose to make them on alternate sides all over. Then the same way for this one, you can have flaps like both on this side and then one flap here, or you can go with one flap here and alternate it. So V1, then make one flap here, V1, then make one flap here. So that is much easier to remember. Another way to probably do this template would be so if you're doing the same thing again, so sorry, my bad. If you're doing this one template that you can have is this one. Another template that you can have for this is this one, where you're making the rectangle base, and then around it, the second rectangle, this particular wall, and the third rectangle, which is this down wall. So now you have 3 things over there, and then the triangles are connected to the rectangles on either side. So you're just making the triangles over there. For flaps, again, you can go with the same kind of technique, and you can have one flap here, flap here, and flap here. Are these 3 clear? These shapes?
Yes.
Like on my
Zubair, Shruti?
that two, 3 is very interesting.
This fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's try and do this particular shape that we discussed, which is tetrahedron. So we're going to make this one, this prism-like
Go
shape.
and work on this.
So the resultant shape that we're going to have will look something like this. So all sides being triangular here, with the base as a triangle as well. Okay. So whatever size of the triangle that, and if you are making a pyramid, then it will come out as this shape. So like this is a square base pyramid. When you look at the top, all 4 sides except
कहाँ बना सकते हैं?
what happened?
मैम इसके फ्लैप्स कहाँ बनाएंगे फिर?
Escape flaps alternate sides. Or you can make it on either side 2 flaps. That also works. So I'll tell you. Either you can make one here, then leave one here, then leave one here, then leave one, like that you can make, or you can make one flap here, one flap here, one flap here, one flap here. So 4 flaps you can make it.
Okay.
Okay. So Shruti, you could make this one. And because you were there for the triangular one, so you have that very easily done. We'll do this, Zubair, the tetrahedron. Okay, so whatever shape size you want, you're just going to take double of that and make a triangle.
is it any like in a day we have to reach maximum exercise like that?
Yeah.
7 times.
70.
70.
Hmm.
I will try, sir. Like,
So you have to make a triangle first, then you have to intersect it at the midpoint. So all sides you have, imagine you have a triangle of 20 centimeters side each, then 10 centimeter, you're going to take this midpoint, 10 centimeter of this side, you're going to take a midpoint, 10 centimeter of this side, you're going to take a midpoint. After that, you're going to connect those midpoints, you'll have a middle triangle, which was the base, which is going to be the base of the tetrahedron. When you fold this shape, this is how it will be. So you have a tetrahedron with 4 sides of a triangular shape. So one of the most easy shapes possible is this tetrahedron. For flaps also, like I said, either you can go with 2 flaps here and 1 flap here, or you can go with alternate flapping system, which is much easier. So just make alternate sides flaps. That's fine. To make sure that your triangles are, make sure that your triangles are in the same line. Do make sure they're of equal size if you're making a regular tetrahedron. If you're not making a regular tetrahedron, then you can have different sizes of these. So these 3 could have different sizes than the base triangle in these sides. Obviously the base, because they share the base would remain the same. Okay, so let's get to folding of this and pasting of this.
क्या बोलूं इसको? Done? Okay, take your time. I had this shape pre-cut, so it didn't take me any time to make it. But once you're done, you'll be able to get a shape like this. So all sides when you look at them are triangular. And this is a tetrahedron. So tetrahedron it is called because it has 4 sides or 4 heads, like you can say. So 4 faces becomes tetrahedron.
We have many events. Recently, we had career test. This we keep doing every year. Summer, we will have another program. Now, let's talk about the result of 2020. अभी मैं जो भी आपसे बात करूँगा that was all online. These are some of the test results. इसके अलावा भी हमारे पास बहुत सारे थे. So these are test results. Yeah, see, and this rank 2. मैंने भी बनाया, मैंने भेजा इंडक्शन क्लास से सारे क्लास ऑलरेडी लाइव हो गया. मोबाइल क्लास ऑलरेडी लाइव. Yes, and this is the result of. So hello. Hello.
Okay, I think you're joining with the wrong link if you're joining for GDPI, guys.
अभी ये सेम जो हमने 12 क्लास लाइव से किया था सेम से रिपीट कर रहा है अलग नहीं चल रहा है. You can see the testimonials of students regarding GDPI. ठीक है आज का क्लास सब
Done? Shruti?
Yes, ma'am.
Zubair? Tiny and cute. Okay. So you've approached a different shape.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. So are these shapes that I explained to you, all of them clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. All are clear.
What about you, Zubair? Any problems so far?
No.
So this was one of the introduction sessions for this particular topic, and so thank you so much. I hope you had fun, and there will be more classes with more skills. So do tune in. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Goodbye.
Good evening to you. Goodbye.